Folks, welcome back. It is What's Trainwreck Watching, where it's always about next week's episode. But we are breaking down this week's episode of The Mandalorian. We are officially at the halfway point for season 3. It seems like it got here very quickly, and we got a lot to break down. So let's get our man in here. Your friend, my friend, our friend, Jake Majka. Majka, what'd you think of this week's episode, this week's installment of The Mandalorian?
Were you? We were talking about it a little bit before we got on here, but were you shocked to see the sitcom length episode after we got the whole documentary length last week?
I wasn't surprised to see them change it up in lengths. I guess I was more surprised by how they did it at the end of the day, for sure, though. But I think it was, last week was more storytelling, laying it on thick. And like you said, I think we talked about in the pre-show, this is a little bit more filler, a little bit more filling in the gaps as we head to that the back half of season 3.
Well, there's a lot of world building. This whole season has been a lot of world building, like taking away from directly like Mando, character development. He's kind of just been Mando really. What episode has Mando been the focus of really, like, so far? Like, he's been like it's kind of been like he got himself, now to the point where they got him into the waters and everything else, but the whole chase off the planet had nothing to do with, like, we didn't even get to really see much of that. That's when they did the flashback and everything, and a lot of his trek to Mandalore and everything was with Bo-Katan, and I feel like I've been focusing more on her, more than Mando doing his, Mandalorian duties. I don't know how you feel about that, but she's like the most interesting character of the whole season and the whole show to me, and that's what I think I'm gonna take away from this episode.
That's interesting because, right, you had season 2 where you had Boba Fett and you had Ahsoka, and now they both had their own shows. I mean, obviously, I don't think they were going to be seeing like Legends of Bo-Katan in a new show or anything. But it's interesting how you said Mando has kind of become a secondary character in his own show. So it'd be very interesting to see. Obviously, I will say the one thing is he did make the waters of Mandalore, obviously, and took care of that storyline. So even though he has been secondary so far, and also when anyone needs any saving, Mando is right there and ready to help. And that gets in a big way. But before we get saved, we have to flash all the way back. It is everyone's favorite. When you're talking Star Wars content, there is almost nothing better than an Order 66 flashback, getting some new perspective on one of the most foundational shaping moments in the history of the galaxy. Walk me through, Michael. What were you thinking when you were watching? I thought the action was solid, and it can never go wrong when you're wielding 2 sabers.
Well, I just think it's like, it was just crazy how it was just Grogu. Like, this is one of my bigger takeaways from it is Grogu is now getting old enough where he's having like frequent traumatic flashbacks. Like, that's how conscientious, like, that he's like sitting there, and that was just like bringing him back into that moment, because there was nothing really, like, I was looking to see like what was the same, like what would have triggered him in that moment. Like, they were building the forge and everything else, but it wasn't like a specific sound or anything else. It was kind of just like him just realizing, like, just going back into it. But other than that, man, it was tense. I mean, weren't you thrown right back into it? Like, it was terrifying, and just knowing, like, yeah, it's just,
I'm always worried something's going to happen to me,
yeah.
Even though I know, and I'm worried still something's going to happen
doors,
to Grogu.
Checking the windows. You're like, where are they?
Exactly. Not to mention worried for the other Jedi. And again, I mentioned we saw the Jedi. I don't know if we got a name of the Jedi.
Oh, let me see. I have it right here. Hold up.
Okay, but played by Ahmed Best. Now, again, I saw this guy.
Kelleran Beck. So this is the weirdest that he is. Has only ever appeared in a web-only game show for kids, Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge, which I think I've seen a couple times. 10 episodes exist. It's like Legends of the Hidden Temple, but Star Wars. I mean, it sounds great. 10 episodes. They aren't on Disney Plus. So I don't know how they must have just found a Jedi character they needed to use, and just were like, who can we throw him in there? He's got no ties that aren't going to make anybody mad. And it worked great. I mean, and I feel like we're going to see more, like, where they transport. We kind of got cut off from where Grogu left it off there. And I'm interested. They're doing the last 2 weeks. I mean, they've been on, what's the planet name? Why is it escaping me right now? We've had 2 flashbacks.
Oh, wait, Coruscant?
Yes, Coruscant. Sorry.
Yes.
And so like I said, a lot of world building going on in different different ways going on the planet. Just very interesting that like the timing of it all too. Like I feel like we're coming towards some kind of big, I guess, conflict at Coruscant because they keep bringing Coruscant up from the past.
Most definitely. They want us to know what's happening at Coruscant, post-Empire, etc. This is a great way to take us back there without throwing it in our face again. And then, yeah, so you and I were talking. I didn't recognize him. I don't believe you did either. But the Ahmed Best, the guy who portrayed Jar Jar almost 20 years ago at this point. I mean, my goodness. Nice of him to get a moment in the Star Wars.
So you think
lore.
they're going to Jar Jar's ship? Are we going to have Ahmed Best just...
Well, someone pointed out we got Ahmed Best, we got Naboo soldiers. I mean, they got to be going to Jar Jar.
I'm just saying, if he had the dual wielded sabers, does that just mean that he's about to be like two of him on the screen? Little nod.
Did you ever look into the Darth Jar Jar theory?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
I kind of subscribe to Darth Jar Jar, so that'll be very interesting to see how they take it away from us. But yes, and obviously, so I was reading some more, and it seems to be that a lot of flashbacks occur for these characters when they are with the armor, when they are kind of wielding stuff like that.
That's true, yeah.
Maybe has something to do with the waters of Mandalore, kind of like getting into your system a little bit, almost like a drug. Like it's almost like a Bacta tank to Boba Fett.
That's interesting. I never even realized that, not putting that together. But yeah, maybe it's like some kind of like ayahuasca situation going on here with the metals and the ores there for old Grogu, and that's what he's experiencing. That's interesting because Bo-Katan, like they've all taken it kind of differently at this point, right? Like now we've seen how Grogu has been affected by everything been going on recently. Like he's just throwing back, he's just still dealing with his shit. Bo-Katan is like, I don't know what she's got. She's starting to scare me with her obsession with this mythosaur. Like,
it's a big time obsession.
Like, I don't think she thinks about anything else all day long at this point. She's asking questions. They're all just like, "Oh, she asked
the armor about the mythosaur the same way that Dr. Pershing asked the Republican droid, like if he can get back into cloning."
It's so true, so true.
There's absolutely some big time.
What about the mythosaur? I saw one, and like, sure you did. You can see some crazy things. So that's a good. See, now it's all clicking for me in real time as we record. As the armorer says that, you can see some crazy things. Maybe there is like some psychedelic. That's weird. Mandalorian stuff is.
This is the way. Weird. This is the way.
Yeah, some weird
Mandalorians. They're great at everything except investigating what happened to their home.
So do you think? Here's my spitball theory. Now that we're all just kind of going around here, are Bo-Katan and Grogu going to figure out that there's some weird shit going on here, and they're going to try to convince Mando that they need to like do something about it, and he doesn't want to?
I kind of think that Grogu is big time into the the cult. I guess you could call it now, the convent. But I mean, yeah, he's fighting. He's firing wrist rockets. I mean, what'd you think?
Oh, that was just a flex. He just knew he needed to let those kids know like what they were dealing with. I feel like
Grogu at this convent is like when Durant showed up to Rucker, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like, a couple deep balls and let him know what happened.
I want it to be easy. Like, let's all have a good time. That kid started talking shit immediately, and that's a great line. I wish I knew what that exact line was.
Oh, hold on, I got it.
Please, because I need to use that in my daily life for the rest of my life.
Someone wrote it's the ultimate way to end any argument. I'm gonna use it going forward. Hold on. What was it? Speak. Come on, I just had it pulled up and then my webpage went away here.
Yeah, speak only if you.
It's like.
Yeah, we're good. It was great. It's a bar that I think should be used.
That is an absolute bar
in lexicon for the rest of time, and it might. There's a lot of Mando fans.
One doesn't speak unless one knows. Yeah, after you say,
shut your bitch ass up, boy.
Yes. Oh my God, it was so good.
Oh, it's amazing.
One doesn't speak unless one knows is absolute fire for sure.
Incredible. So I think he's like, he knows like it might be too easy for him. It's like maybe he's like the kid in class that he should be in 6th grade instead of 5th grade, and he's just gonna be like bored, messing with kids, throwing rocks around and everything. Because he was doing he was trying to lift ships and stuff, with Luke. Like Luke was putting him in the ringer. You still wouldn't know that if you didn't watch Boba Fett. We're on episode 4 and
Still big
no
time out of the
acknowledgement
loop
of Boba
on
Fett.
that for sure. And speaking out of the loop, so Grogu takes down this little kid and he goes to the sideline to chill for a second. And all of a sudden he's picked up by basically this reminded me of the Firebird from Godzilla, except it couldn't breathe fire. It was so big, it was red, it was just like, it was crazy. I mean, what did you think with this bad boy when it came out and just swept down that little kid?
I was thinking of like this was fresh in my mind for a very different reason, but the dragon from Shrek, that's really what came into my mind right away. That's what I initially thought of. But the fact that the first statement or the like couple first sentences they're talking back and forth with each other, like they start chasing him and everything. They're like, oh yeah, this happens all the time. We got to go chase him down. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, they
like,
always get away with that. It's like, what? How
away.
many Mando kids have just gotten like nipped?
They're just like, oh man, get to this certain point. Well, we can't get there anymore. And why would you just keep doing it then? Why would you just think like maybe this time our jetpacks will be a little quicker and we'll catch up to him? Like, I don't understand the logic there.
The Mandos get really like they're just really resigned to their fate sometimes. Like whether it's that the planet's done or that they're screwed with this big bird. I mean, they're just down to get pwned whenever.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
We're going. So we get a Mando mission. They all go, and obviously Bo-Katan kind of pulls a quick thinking maneuver and takes her spaceship to go follow this.
She's the only one thinking right now, like really the only one thinking.
This alien pterodactyl, and we get to see some customs. So this is a cool thing because you kind of learn a little bit more about the Mandos. Obviously, they got to eat, so they got to take off their helmet. They got to go in hiding to eat or whatnot. And Bo-Katan, as the leader of the Force, gets to eat by the fire. A tribal honor, as Paz Vizsla says.
A tribal honor.
Tribal honor. This is the way.
He was. Yeah, this is the way.
And then, of course.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so we get to the nest. They can't. It's kind of interesting the way they use it. Is it kind of felt like Game of Thrones when they were climbing the wall for that little bit in the scene. But basically, we get a situation where they can't use the jetpacks because they want to sneak up on this, alien pterodactyl. And we get out there. This whole plan, which they're like 98% of the way to execute, and all of a sudden you just hear, "Son." I couldn't believe this motherfucker, Vizsla. We get all the way there, and then he blows up that he's got a personal, connection.
The last 10 minutes, Bo-Katan's just like, we have to be stealthy. Don't use your jetpacks. We have to stop this far away so they don't hear us. We're going to scale this wall very quietly. And then, literally, there's Leroy Jenkins. That's what I thought of. He was Leroy Jenkins in that moment.
He absolutely Leroy Jenkins. Ragnar, he's got his son name. So by the way, I guess Mandalorians get it in. I mean, one way or the other.
Good for
Seriously.
them.
So shout out to them. Kudos.
What do you think?
I thought that this scene right here, coupled with the ship scene from last week, I mean, that's as good as anything as you'll get in a Star Wars movie or Star Wars movie content, anything in my opinion.
This is awesome. I mean, like right away, once they started chasing the, dragon Firebird-esque monster going on there, I was like, this is exactly what I want from this show. Like, just randomly you're gonna get torn into a kidnapping by a monster, and all the Mandos have to work together and fit and trust each other and figure this shit out, and you see whatever else happens. But that's what this show has been so great at doing, and it threw you right into it, and it was great. And it was great to see the dynamic that they get, and the respect, bro, the respect that they all have for each other. It was all Bo-Katan's plan when she went and scouted it out. She's like, this is the way we got to do it, whatever. They had her lead the group, everything else. Those people that just showed up there, and they trust him implicitly. It's a very telling of the type of group we're dealing with here. As we don't know what this planet's name is, do we? That's occurred to me.
I don't believe we do. We just know that they're in a cave that's pretty
they're in one cave. There's so much more, but I guess you don't really want to explore this planet from what we've seen so far.
Yes, not at all. So yes, but we survive. We get a great Mando save. Paz Vizsla. We get some great, there's a scene where Bo-Katan looks like she's plummeting to the Earth. She kind of gets a great jetpack, save and things like that. So great scene, great sequence. Kind of get me fired up for the Mando again, and mostly a filler episode. Great to have that ending. And then I wrote down here for the last thing, kind of leaving off where we left off last week. It ended with, Bo-Katan looking back, looking at the mythosaur and kind of having a look on her face after being accepted by the Covenant. And now she's getting shaped for armor and everything and doing the exact same thing. So where do you think we go from here?
That's the thing, is I feel like it's more, this story is, I don't even know if they're going to move forward out of the cave the next episode or anything. Maybe there will be some more movement for the main characters and to what they're going to be doing next and everything. But I feel like it could be another situation where we have another flashback to Coruscant and there's something else going on there that they're trying to tell us. I
Maybe
feel like
tie it in with the clones. The fact that we have the troopers, we saw a lot of clone troopers in this episode.
Ahsoka could be, maybe Ahsoka is coming up soon. Like, I feel like she's gonna show up during the season at some point with the way things have been. I've thought that even before seeing any Jedi action or anything else, but it feels like she has to come up again at some point. So maybe she's part of a flashback that we see. That's what I'm looking at. I think that the next action for them, the three of them, between Bo-Katan, Grogu, and Mando right now, is Bo-Katan's gonna go. She's gonna go get that mythosaur, bro. That's all she's like. We know where her mind is at. It's just a matter of when she decides she's going back.
Do you think there's a chance that Bo-Katan comes to kind of a pseudo villain in this story, taking over the Covenant, or at least taking down what Mando is kind of holding so dear? I mean, Mando battled.
Yeah, but a villain. But are we like on her side? Like Mando, you need to kind of let go.
Yeah, you're kind of seeing the villain origin story here. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
What about you? What do you think?
I think that we are building to something big with Bo-Katan, and I think we're building to something big with Grogu. Whether it's his first words or whether it's, him making, some kind of action warrior type save instead of the Force. I think we're building something there. And I think we're also building something as far as this Covenant as a whole. I think Bo-Katan is either going to take them to the promised land. Bo-Katan is kind of like Russell Wilson to the Broncos for this Covenant. She's helping out. She's providing leadership right away. But ultimately, is she going to be able to play within that system? And is she going to be able to take them to the next level? Is she going to get her Sean Payton in the form of the mythosaur?
Yeah, I don't know, man. She's got some ill intent. That is for sure. Grogu, very interesting though.
Yeah, Grogu. No, well, I mean, come on. You still hear him almost talking. I did like the logic. He can't say the words, so that's why he doesn't have to wear the Mando helmet. I like that. That was kind of a good loophole for our boy Grogu. But yeah, I think there's a lot happening. I think that, this is kind of like, it's like looking at a cooked meal, that right now things are a little bit all over the place. Maybe it doesn't look like the most appetizing based on where we're at, but I think a lot of pieces are in, the place they need to be for what's ultimately going to be a great second half of the season.
Yeah, I can't wait. And there has to be a ramp up. There have been so many different things they've thrown at us, and I can't wait to see it. They've always tied, every season of any of these shows have always tied together back around and been great at the end. And I have no doubt that we're coming up for something fun, but definitely next week's got to be a chaos episode a little bit. I think we need to get some, I think we've done a lot of snooping around and sneaking around and everything. We need some push here.
Seriously. And the good thing is it's only 6 days away. The Mandalorian rides on. Keep in mind, folks, I'll be doing updates from Succession HBO, which starts this Sunday. I'll be doing instant recaps and kind of power rankings for the Roy fam. But as far as power rankings for this show, it's all about one guy, and that's the Mandalorian. And on this show, what's Trainwreck watching? It's all about one thing, and that is next week's episode.
Bam.